What more is reality than a series of neurological and physiological discharges? In fact, everything around us is really just images that are being processed at various frequencies. And the images are interpreted by our brain through our eyes as stimulus, which in turn travel along your optic nerve as electrical impulses and find their way to our occipital lobe. That lobe is composed of two visual cortices and connects to your frontal lobe to process that signal into information. But our brains don't download images as strings or subatomic particles, but as frequencies to form a picture like a television reception. And that is due to photoreceptors in your pupils. The light vibrations of the electromagnetic spectrum are only recognized by our brains up to 390 to 750 nms. So what you have to consider here is that there is an entire unseen world all around us at all times. Now, in the past, we would dismiss the talk of spiritual dimensions and energies to talk of quacks and charlatans, but that is now what is being discussed in our theoretical physics. One of the coolest things I did as a teenager was I learned a metaphysical exercise on how to see and read auras. And I was always picking up different books from the metaphysical or esoteric bookshelves at different stores and reading everything I could get on these subjects. Of course, there's been many great books on the human aura or the energy field that have been put out by Llewellyn and a variety of other publishers, but one of my favorite authors of this genre ever to write books on metaphysical development has always been Ted Andrews. One of those books has always been How to See and Read the Aura. And I want to talk a little bit about that today and how you can all do exercises so you can start to stimulate or jog the rods and cones in your eyes to perceive auras or energy bodies at a higher light spectrum. But first of all, when we talk about this energy field or a light body that we all have around us, we have to really look at who are we. I truly believe we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And we know that these energy or light bodies have been around us for a long time and people have perceived them, because even when we go over to the Vatican or you look at these sacred images that have been in museums like the Louvre or the British Museum, we start to see that people have been portrayed with halos around them. When we look over in ancient Egypt and you see the masks or depictions of King Tut, Tutankhamun, you'll see that the king, or as he's been called by Egyptology, the pharaoh, has the headdress around him, or the nimbus, which is that mask area that you see with King Tut. So what that is that's the auric field, the energy bodies. When we look over at Buddhism, we find a description of these as well, especially when the Buddha was dying. We learn about this from the Dharmapada, or the Last Great Discourse. If any of you have ever visited Thailand, or you've seen statues of the Buddha where he's lying on his side and he's resting his head against his hand like this, this was a story about how when Buddha was feeling that his body was sick and he was dying and it could no longer support him, he was surrounded by the bodhisattvas and he felt that his energy was gathering at the lower extremities of his body, his subtle bounds of energy. They're right around his solar plexus, and they started to move up his vagus, or his pneumogastric nerve, where the inferior was becoming the superior, and it moved up to this particular area. And as it was leaving out his body through the pineal gland and the crown chakra of the head, his energy left the body, but he was becoming aware of his electromagnetic energy fields of his body. Not only his auric bodies, but what we would call chakras. And what these teachings later started to show us in the Vedantic writings, as well as the Indian Brahmin started passing them down, this became part of the yogic teachings. So again, there is a connection to the energy bodies, the chakras, the electromagnetic energy fields of the body. So we've known about these for a very long time. In our religions, we've known about it in our art, we've known about it in our spiritual beliefs. But many of you have probably perceived the aura already. Maybe you've been out on a beautiful day like this and you've looked up at the trees and you've seen this sort of line of energy above the trees that is sort of the outline. You may have been sitting in an auditorium or listening to someone speak, and as they've been walking around up on a stage with a lighter background behind them, you've seen their outline. And this very much is the lighter version of their aura. So in a sense, we're always seeing this energy. And this is very important that you recognize this. One of the best ways that you can start feeling this electromagnetic energy around your body that you have at all times is by doing a couple simple exercises. One of those, if you're by yourself, is to take your hands, move them about an inch or so apart, and then slowly start to part them and put them back together again without touching. Move them away a little further. The next time, put them back together again. And as you do that, you'll start to feel a tingling or a heat sensation, a pulling and drawing sensation. Another thing you can do is just swirl your finger around your arm and you'll start to feel energy move about. If you have a partner, what you can do is you can stand behind them about a foot away so you're not touching, and as you're doing this, you can move your hands with palms facing out so you're pushing a little bit of energy into their back without touching them and pulling back away, pushing and pulling back away. And as you do this, their body will start to rock back and forth, and they won't even be able to see what you're doing or that you're even coming near them, but your electromagnetic energy fields will be coalescing. Another interesting thing is that we've heard over the years that when somebody's dying, that their body loses about an ounce, and that's the energy leaving from the body. So you have a spark. This is very real. This energy that occupies you, these subtle bounds of energy were binding to your body during the 9 months or so of pregnancy, and that's why this process is so important. That's also one of the secrets to the importance of funeral or funerary practices that we bring back from even the ancient Egyptians, in why that disentanglement process is so important. But again, we'll leave that for a different video. However, once you understand that this energy is real and you can feel it and you can sense it, what you have to know that it is possible to see it. And you're seeing it all the time, actually. Most of you, as you're getting up for the day and you're getting dressed, you're wearing the colors of clothing for the day that correspond with your auric fields. And so those colors are going to be associated with how we feel and sense color. And we can see hints to the fact that we can feel and sense color even in our own language. There's a syntax there. So, for example, you might say, she was green with envy, or I was feeling blue. It means you were feeling sad, or I was seeing red. So these are always things that we understand. For example, when I was talking about, you're seeing red with anger, or, it's associated with passion. Anyhow, when you want to understand how you can start opening up your eyes so you can start seeing these colors, what you can do is do a simple little exercise. So this exercise can be done by yourself, or it can be done with a partner. If you have a partner, this is very simple. The two of you can arrange a couple of seats in a room so you're facing each other, and make sure that the lighting is decent. It's better if you have a lighter background behind you, but you don't want to be in a very dark room to start this at first, so you can start seeing auras. But if you're by yourself, you can simply just go into a bathroom and make sure that you have adequate lighting. There's a lighter background behind you. Again, that makes it much easier. It is important to note that we're always seeing auras. Our subconscious, our brain is downloading them a little differently. It's processing that information. We're also perceiving it with our internal vision because we are metaphysical beings. We are existing on so many different levels every single day. This technique to be able to see auras with your actual eyes, this is probably the most rewarding and coolest thing, because within 2 to 5 minutes you're going to be seeing auras. It's going to give you incredible results, and it's going to really excite you, because this is something metaphysical that you can start seeing results on right away. Anyhow, as you're either sitting in front of your partner or you're standing in front of the mirror, what you want to do is you want to take a step back if you're in front of that mirror, about a foot or two, or stand up against the wall. And as you look at that mirror, you want to use your nose as a focal point. Again, if you're looking at your partner, look at their nose as a focal point. Now, the first step is to become relaxed. And so in order to do that, we want to just take a deep breath in through the nose for about 4 seconds, hold it in for 4 seconds, and exhale. Do that for 4 times. And just feel yourself getting into a calmer state where you can focus. And as you're looking at that mirror in front of you, or the person in front of you, you're looking at their nose, you want to unfocus your eyes. And you want to try to hold this for a second. To unfocus your eyes means things are going to go a little blurry for a second as you've relaxed your vision. And then refocus your eyes. And just take your time with this. And repeat this as well for about 4 to 6 times, until you feel your eyes have gotten a little bit of exercise. We're trying to jog the rods and cones in your eyes here so that they can perceive these higher light spectrums. So once you've done this, 4 to 6 times or so, until you feel it's adequate, where you can feel that your eyes have been stimulated a little bit, what you want to do from here is you want to slowly gaze up around your head. And as you gaze up around your head, we want to then move our eyes back down to your nose. You want to sort of just let our eyes relax and focus back on that point. But at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to use our peripheral vision while still looking at your nose. We're going to use our vision just to kind of still gaze up around the head while keeping our focus straight ahead. And as you do this, you might start to notice a line of energy around the head. Then you can slowly start moving your eyes up around the head of the body and the shoulders and everything else. And you're going to start to notice a line of energy around the body, or some colors. The first colors that are easiest to see, for maybe a foot or two around the body as you start this off. This is going to be, you're going to take baby steps towards doing this. You might see some yellows and greens. It should be noted that as you get proficient at this, you'll start going between 3 and 6 feet. We can actually measure the auric field around the body from several feet, and some people say that it actually can be detected up to 30 feet away, that we're always intertwining our energies, especially when we go out into public places and everything else. Sometimes we're interacting in different ways. That's why when you go to a shopping mall or somewhere else, you might feel very drained by all the energy that you're interacting with, or someone might be draining your energy and they just don't know it. There's so many other possibilities with this. Anyhow, as you start to perceive this energy around the body, you're going to start to notice it, and it's going to become very clear. And you'll even notice it around your hand and all around you. And it should be noted that if you pick up any of these great auric exercises, there are going to be all sorts of techniques in there for doing this, and different eye charts and exercises. And again, if you pick up this book by Ted Andrews, How to See and Read the Aura, there's most certainly plenty of them in there that you can try. Now, I do want to go over what some of the colors mean and what the aura looks like. When you start to see the aura show up, a strong and healthy aura is going to have the colors filling in every direction. It's going to be quite noticeable. It's going to be quite vibrant. When the aura is low and wavery, this can mean that a person is unhealthy or imbalanced. And some things that can cause a healthier aura, or if you've been spending good amounts of time outside, you drink plenty of water, you're eating higher vibrational foods, fresh fruits and vegetables, staying away from things like red meat, which eat up a lot of your energy because it takes a longer time to digest. If a person has more positive thinking and all that sort of stuff, is going to make a big difference on your auric field. I like to carry crystals with me. Some people see these and they say, is that a crystal in your pocket? Or are you just happy to see me? And I say, well, it's a little of both. But actually carrying double terminated quartz crystals is very good, because crystals actually are a conduit for energy called piezoelectrical energy. That's why they're used in computer processors and whatnot. But anyhow, things that can cause an aura to be lower and wavery and to not be as strong would be things like abusing drugs and alcohol, engaging a lot of pessimistic and negative thinking, like worrying too much about things. This has a huge effect on your energy field in ways that you wouldn't even realize. Not spending enough time in nature, not drinking enough water, being dehydrated. There's plenty of things in there plenty of things that we can do that we just know are not good habits to have for us, and we know what those are. You just kind of intuitively feel what's best on your path. But as the colors start to show up to you, you'll notice that they mean certain things also, and the areas that they show up in the auric field also. So just going by the rainbow colors that we can see, you know, white is a color of purity, and I'd say good energy, high energy, good intentions. Going into yellow, yellow is always a color associated with thinking, communicating, with learning. I see when someone's really deep in thought, I see a lot of yellow around them when they're thinking about something or they have obsessive thought. Green, when you see that around someone, that's a color of compassion, a color of healing, a color of growth. Blue is really a communication color. Again, I also have associated with clairvoyance. Of course, we go looking at the throat chakra and other areas, we see that coming up, and it's associated also. When we look at red, red is the color of passion. It can also be a color of anger. When we go look at purple, purple is a very spiritual color of attuning to higher energies. When we see pinks, pink is, of course, love and feeling, you know, feeling a drawing to somebody or feeling really happy about something. And as it comes up, and again, there's so many other color combinations that we can look at and how they come up in the bands of the aura and where they show up in the body. And there's other combinations too, like if you see someone that has like these direct lines coming out of an area of their body that's really red, this can also mean inflammation in the body. So the energy bodies can show that all around them. Another thing is if you see sparkling lights around someone, this is usually a color of fertility, and if it shows up around women, a lot of the times it will tell you that they're very pregnant. You can also tell when someone's lying to you, or if they're very happy or excited or they're down. So as you get proficient at this by practicing, you'll notice it more and more when you go into stores and around people. The more you do this exercise, the more you make yourself aware of it, the more you tune into it, the more you'll be aware of these colors around people and what they mean. You'll even see it around animals, plants, trees. As you go out in nature, it will be very clear to you. So practice makes perfect. It should be noted that there have been scientists in the past, especially when we look at Russian scientist Seaman Kirlian, that figured out through a type of photography called Kirlian photography how to capture the aura on film. And that was later perfected by Kodak, and there's other types of technology they have for that today. And what's really interesting about that is that they discovered if someone were to be missing some limbs all of a sudden from an accident, they would take a picture of their aura and the limbs would still be there, an aura compression of them. The same with a leaf. If you tore off part of the leaf would still show up, which is amazing. And this is through sending electromagnetic energy into that person or that item, and that's how these things show up. It should be noticed that if you've ever been to one of these new age trade shows, sometimes they'll have a different kind of aura camera there, where they'll have an intuitive or someone that will see your energy field, and they'll put like a colored slide over your picture and show you a Polaroid of that, which is a little different. There's the more scientific method, and then there's the other method, and both I guess are correct in a different way. But this is a very interesting and unique experiment that you can do, because you could actually go out and you could look at your aura in the mirror, and then you could go get your picture taken and then see if it corresponds that way. Other really unique ways that you can start to have your aura measured or look at it, you could put all the different colors, all the different spectrum of colors down on a piece of paper, and you could dowse for them with the pendulum. Allow the pendulum to go over that area and see where it stops and see if it corresponds with your colors. But I just wanted to share this information with all of you. And I also want to ask if you've ever seen auras. I want to know all about it. And also tell us if you found these techniques to be useful, and if you tried them, and if you had any results. Drop a comment below and let us know. And until next time, remember to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. And I'll meet you all at that place, behind closed eyelids.